Osiyo, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Yay! Hola, hola.
Oh,
Hola, mi amiga. We're here. My name is Dani. Welcome. And we are here with my beautiful friend, Marissa, at Enough by MNT. And we are here to host a conversation with you. Um, we will be going over values. We will hold space to define values and share how values impact our relationships and how we pursue our goals. So I would like to hold space for Marissa to introduce herself. And also in the description, I did include some offerings that she has, but we're going to hold some space for Marissa to introduce herself.
oh, thank you, Danny. I didn't know you did that. That was so sweet. Um, um, Hi, everybody. I am so grateful to be on Danny's channel to discuss this with you guys. My name is Marissa. I am a visual artist, and a lot of my art focuses on healing practices. And if you are into that kind of stuff, and just doing art in a very accessible way, you can find me at Enough by MNT here on YouTube. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yay. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I'll
Oh,
see you.
hey, Sade.
Oh, yeah. Sisters coming in the house. Yeah, as you all file in, please say hey. We love to see you. We love to see you. So let's go ahead and first we're going to start off with a breath practice. So, what we are going to do, if you are in a comfortable position, um, I'm seated. You can be standing. I think Marissa's on the floor. So,
I
whatever,
am.
whatever is comfortable for you in this moment, please, I will meet you there. And if you would like something to do with your hands, you can have one hand on your heart, one on your stomach. You can have both hands on your lap. You can have both hands on your heart. Whatever you feel is most aligned for your hand placement, please place them there. I have my hand on my heart and one on my stomach. This is called the Ujjayi breath. And so all that means is we will be breathing in through our nose. And when we exhale, we're going to have our mouth closed and we are going to push the air from our throat through our mouth with closed lips. So it's kind of like a ocean wave kind of sound as you exhale that air out. So we're going to practice that here. So go ahead and place your hands in the comfortable position, back, and then with your eyes, I'm going to close my eyes. You can lower your gaze, whichever is comfortable for you. So when we're ready, inhale and exhale. We'll do 3 breaths together, just like that. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Awesome. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Let it all go. Bring yourself back into the space. Flutter your eyes open if they were closed. And give yourself a hug. It always feels so good to give myself a hug after I do a breath practice. Okay. Yay! Thank you for practicing that with us. Marissa Price Heels. I'm trying to be serious, but I can't stop smiling when I see you both together. Honestly, that's
Oh,
me. That's me all the time. We're all just gonna be cheesing, and that's okay. Hmm.
that was so sweet.
That I know. We're just so sweet. Yay. Okay. So, how do you feel? I would like to check in, Marissa, with you. How do you feel? And anyone else who did that breath practice with us, please let us know in the comments. How do you feel in your body now that you held space for breath?
Um, I feel very calm, and my mind feels very, very clear. There are no thoughts in there at all, which is rare. Um, I had to think hard when you asked me that question. Yeah, so thank you for leading that. That was That was such a gift every time you do breath work with us. I really appreciate it. How are you feeling?
Yay. Thank you for those compliments. I received them. I definitely feel like I slowed down a bit. I know when we checked in this morning, I was very high energy and excited. And I just really believe this is going to be an aligned conversation for more than us, for other people as well. So I'm really grateful you've taken the time out of your day, your week, your month, the end of your year to be on my channel and share your wisdom and your energy. Um, with us and your wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, they're the perfect duo. Oh,
Oh,
I love us so much.
oh, yeah. Thank you guys for being here. It feels it's very comforting every time I see like people I know in the chat. I can't see the full chat right now. I just see what you share on the screen, but these are like the best messages to see. Thank you so much, Danny
Yes, of
and
course.
Shade.
Our friends, we appreciate you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into, and we put little banners here. So we did our check-in. You met us. Hello. We did our breath practice. Pranayama is a Sanskrit word for breath practice, and ujjayi breath is the pranayama we do today. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what values mean to us, and we're going to define values. Okay,
Okay, awesome.
so would you like to share what values means for you, Marissa? Is that okay if you share first?
Absolutely. Okay, what do values mean for me? They're like the principles that kind of guide my life is what they mean to me. Hey, Tay.
Hey,
Sorry.
I just know that's our friend, so I'm like,
Uh-huh. But yeah, so values to me, they're just they mean like yeah, the guiding principles to me and they just feel like I don't know, I always envision them like I don't know, like the like my precious like jewels that like help ignite me throughout my life. And so I like to just have like a couple of them because like it allows me to like keep those things like sacred. I hope that that made any kind of sense at all. How about you?
yes, it does. That really resonates with me. Values definitely feel like a guiding post for my soul, honestly. How do I want to show up in this world? How do I want to, what situations do I want to be in, and how do I want to show up in them? Values really show me um, the power in choice, the power in autonomy, and the power in change, right? We're all evolving. And so it's really awesome to see how multidimensional I can be, how I can prioritize certain things in certain situations, and in other situations, prioritize other things. I can practice grace with myself in those situations. I'm not just one thing, I'm not just in one box. I don't just have this one personality. And there's not only one way that I can connect with myself. I can connect with myself in this world in so many ways. And so values really show me how dynamic of an experience I can have. And also, it creates a safety container. So I really resonate with that sense of like, I just really got this sense of like they're guideposts. It's kind of like we're on this road and journey of life, and then the values are like the railings. They're there if you need them. You might not always need them. You might just be able to walk in them confidently. And sometimes being able to check in and identify, wait, what are my values in this point in life right now? And how can those benefit me? How can I utilize this awareness of myself so I can navigate when I have goals or when I go through challenges or in relationships? So, yes. Oh, this is so sweet. Taste it feels like a reunion here.
Absolutely, it does.
I wonder with like the relationships that we've been able to build, even online, I wonder how even we might have similar values that led us in the space like the garden.
Absolutely. As soon as you said that, like one word that like came to mind, of like people that I gravitate to, like online and even in real life, is like everyone that even is in the chat right now is just like very, very intentional people. Um, and you too, like, when we're all showing up, it is like it's with such intention and with such love. And yeah, that's really cool to think about.
Doesn't it feel like a warm hug? Or like I just wish I was like in a flower field with you guys and we're just like, yay! We could just I feel like whenever we reunite, that's just the general feeling I get.
Absolutely. Um, I don't know, like if I'm, yeah, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll let you guide us to the next part. Yes, intentional.
Mhm, mhm. Well, also, I will share just as a disclaimer that this is a very casual conversation, everyone. So and I will lead us into the next part as far as what got us to come up with this inspiration to host this live together. And then we'll get into the importance of identifying values. So, something I want to do is share with you the so Brene Brown on her website has a list of values. And so Marissa and I, if some of you don't know, uh, are accountability partners. And weekly, we meet together and we check in. We check on each other, just in general, on our wellness. We check in on our creative goals, um, and we work on things. It's an hour that we set aside in the morning, and sometimes, if life happens, we hold space for each other. We've been doing this for a few months now. Honestly, have we been doing it for most of this year?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like maybe we started like in February. Like I'm trying to like remember like titles on things. Yeah, I think that yeah, so that's almost a year that you're right.
Okay, I just have to do a dance for us because wow, commitment. Yay!
Yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome
Okay.
to think about. Um, and it also like in there like for full transparency, we had to like take like a break because of me. Not because of Danny, but like life got really busy for me and I'm really, really proud that like even like after taking a break and like showing each other like grace in that, um, that we like came back to it. Yeah, that has been like a new experience for me, like that I'm learning this year. Like you can take a break from things and you can come back to them and it's fine. It doesn't mean it's over. And things can shift and adjust and yeah, that goes with one of my values of flow. But we'll get to that.
Yes. So we went over this Brene Brown list, and then which I will share in 1 second. And we both had our separate ways of shifting through the list and filling it out, seeing which values we wanted to identify. We both identified that it would be helpful to have a timer because it is a pretty long list. So, if anyone wants to engage in this process, we're sharing this activity so you can engage in it if you want. But this is just something we did with each other that inspired us to share this conversation and these wisdom that we gained from this activity with you all, our reflections, really. So, Marissa, while I'm going ahead and getting that link for everyone, would you mind sharing your reflections on the values practice, and I'll go ahead and share that list with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and like well, like one thing that I did notice as we were going through this list, it was like really challenging for me to like identify like which values resonated with me, but like because Yeah, from like years of like people pleasing and just really trying to decipher like what part is my voice, what part is like what I've been taught or like what sounds good. Um and so as I was looking at the list, a lot of things like stuck out to me like as a strong oh no, not that one. And so that was really really important to me too like while I was going through the process is like listening to those strong no's and then being like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, okay, if if that no is not my value, okay, what's the opposite of that? Because that probably is something that is in line with with what my values are. Um and then I hope that I'm also not getting ahead. Tell me if I am, Danny. But before we got started like on reviewing like list, one thing that like really helped me like feel good as we were going through it at the very beginning, I identified it like by the end of this, like I want to feel like the values list that I have, I want to feel grounded by them. I want to feel like back to that guidepost thing, and so those two things, reflecting back on them, I think that they helped me be able to navigate through going through this list of values that Brene Brown has because they're really, really long. And then also just looking at the list, it gave me like little light bulb moments of things that weren't on there, like because I would be thinking to myself, like why is this word not on here? I need it. Like some words I can think of that were not on there that I was like, I think intuition was one of them that I was like, why is that not on there? And I was like upset, and I was like, oh, that's a sign. Um, yeah, but so do you have some like reflections that you wanted to share, Danny? My bad, I went on for a while.
No, that was so perfect. That was so perfect. So here's that list or that link for anyone who is interested in going over this. And I also want to celebrate Marissa because that is a very insightful reflection to know that even though there is this long list of value, like honestly, everyone, look at it. It's a long list. It's a very valid list. And also, Marissa was able to check in with herself and say, does this resonate with you? Out of all of these options, is there anything else? Or are there anything that you do see that doesn't? And what might resonate more? So it's even an opportunity to become insightful of yourself, learn more about yourself, looking through this list. So it's okay if there's anything that's not on there. Um, this can be an invitation to tap in with what does resonate with you. So I love that you did that. That was very because my process and my reflection, I okay, so I ended up typing because I'm kind of like visual that way. Once we did our 3 minutes, I think we did of picking which values we wanted. Her list was like this, and my list was like super long, and it was still okay. She still let me read each and every one of them. And she was like, oh, yeah, that definitely is you. And so our next step was we identified a way to categorize or even just identify like our top values out of the ones we initially chose. And then we shared afterwards why we kind of what our process was and then what led us to go on that process. And so with my long list, I ended up color coding them and I made 3 categories. And my 3 categories were which values involve other people, which values requires consistent maintenance. So like this is an everyday active choice and action that I'm doing and behavior that I'm engaging in order to see this value, live out this value in my life. And then which values are a choice that impacts my reality. So these were just categories that I literally just came up with, and then I went through my list and just started color coding them. So for me, that made most sense. And what that shared with me is when I have a lot of different ideas, it's okay to stay in that abstract way of thinking and follow. I love that you use the word intuition and that you brought that into the space. Follow that as my creative direction. Because with me, I have a lot of ideas, and sometimes it's really difficult to choose one and then use a lot of my energy to stick with that idea to see it through. past the inspiration phase because I'm still having other ideas. And I think all of them are just as valuable as the one that I'm choosing. Okay, this is the one for right now. And so going through this values, I didn't have to say, okay, well, that value is not as important. That value is not as important because now I have to narrow it down. The first time I read this Brene Brown book, which this list is from the book Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. When I first read this book, in the activity, she advises people to pick the top 3 after you initially choose the ones that resonate with you. However, the process we chose, we did it 2 different ways, and that wasn't neither of them was what the activity that Brene Brown shared. So it's okay to follow your own process, to trust whatever is going to resonate with you, whatever feels most authentic to how you want to navigate your goal or whatever that inspiration is. So
Yeah.
that would be my reflection.
Um, I loved that so much. And I remember when you shared with me like that you color coded yours and like the buckets that you put yours in, that was really, really eye opening. Like for me, because like, yeah, like some things are, I don't know, it just gave me like simplicity and like categories for like when to lean into certain values and when to lean into others based on how you separated them. Um, so I really, really loved that. If it's okay, can I share in case it gives anybody inspiration how I did mines?
Oh, please.
Okay, because I forgot to do that. I just started like reflecting on like how I initially encountered the list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But so guys, I'm like very like an analog person. Like I need to like touch and feel and do things on paper. And so I do like lots of paper crafts. So I had lots of scrap paper lying around. So I just like wrote down all of the values that initially like came to mind for me. And then like Danny said, we shared the longer list with each other. And then after that, like there was a couple that I had to add from Danny's list to mine. So I was like, ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Um but then after we did like our second like go through of the values, then I started I took the ones that I really liked and I glued them into like a little paper that I made, a little booklet. And so I chose like I think it was my top one, two, three, four, five of them, and I couldn't narrow it down further than that. But I think that like having like a physical book that had like a page limit helps me narrow things down. I'm still like in the process of narrowing things down if I'm being honest. Um, but that process felt really, really good to, I don't know, it just felt really, really good to do it in a tangible way where I was cutting and I was tearing and I was writing um, and gluing. And because once things were glued in the book, it made it so like it felt definite and I had to like question it. Like, is that really a value of mine? I'm not sure. And then I was able to like replace them. Um, yeah. If you want to see like what I actually wrote in it, you can like watch the video on my channel um later. This is like more about like everybody figuring out what their values are, so I don't feel like a need to like share my specific ones, but that's how my process went. While Jenny was decoding, I mean, was color coding, I was gluing. Um like the kindergartner I am.
And for this process, we did do additional time. So we started out with an additional. Actually, did we start out with 3 minutes or was it less and then I ended up needing more?
I think the initial like review of the list, we did 3 minutes, and then we
Mm.
and then when we wanted to narrow it down, I was like, well, we should be more decisive. Let's do less time. And so we tried, I think we tried a minute and a half, and then we was like, oh no, add some more time. And Danny was like, I think more time would feel good. And secretly inside, I was like, yes, me too. Um, so then I think we added another minute, and then just for the sake of making things prettier, I think we added like 30 more seconds after that. So it probably was a true 3 minutes again. but I think a lot of like the weaning down of things also happened for me, like when we were discussing and like actually like talking about the individual like values that we picked and being like,
Mm-hmm.
oh well, why that one, or why is that important to you? um and I think that's something that I don't always give myself time and space to do. Like I'm kind of like, well, you should know this right away, Marissa. And but having that time to talk to somebody else about it open up space for me to be like, okay, well, you don't have to know right away. You can question things, you can interrogate things, you can think about them longer. Um, and so I don't know. I think that is just important to say that it's okay to leave time for pondering. Um, is what I wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe this goes perfectly into our next section of this and our last kind of area of importance when we talking about values in this conversation. How values impact our goals and relationships. So earlier, and Marissa, if you can share a little bit more of your wisdom, that would be very nice. But you said earlier about your no and your strong yes, and that sounds a little bit like listening to your gut. And you also brought up intuition. So would you mind sharing with us how do we listen to our gut, and how is our gut being our second brain, um, how is that important for us to acknowledge and honor as we move through our creative process?
Yeah, and it's funny. Like sometimes you say stuff and you don't know where it like came from, and then it was like, "Can you say it again?" I'm like, what did I say?" I think that breath work we did, it really cleared my mind, and so now I'm having to like come back into it. But yes, absolutely, I
Okay.
can do my best to share. Um, so I think that we were talking about how like everybody says like listen to your intuition, or like, yeah, you have a gut, you have a gut feeling about this, but it's just like um how do you like actually like know what that feeling is? And I'm gonna say this differently than I said it before, but it's just because this is how it's coming to me now, of like how I've come to understand like my intuition and like when something is really for me or not. It's always like, does this thing feel expansive? Like does this feel like opening, and like I don't know, I guess like the best way I can do it is to go to some of my values, like creativity. Does that feel expansive, or does this feel like closed off? Does this feel like a rule? Do I feel like constrained? Um and so that would be like a nah, that's not for me. If I feel constrained um in it, or if you are feeling like that strong no. Or a lot of times for me it's like anger. um oh, that's what we were saying before. I was saying like a lot of times, because I have a lot of like people pleasing type ways, it's really really hard for me to like to know what like a soft yes is for me. But I can identify like when something's making me feel really really angry, or really really triggered, or really really closed off. um and that's like my gut like telling me, nah, that's not for you. um and being able to listen to that, and not just pushing aside my anger and being like, oh, that's not a good feeling. Like taking the time to interrogate that and being like, but why am I angry? What does that mean? And choosing to go deeper with some of the feelings that maybe like usually are like unsavory. um because since I have been, and I think that you actually said this part of it, you said when you've been like people pleasing for a long time, initially it can feel exciting, or really, really, you can't really trust your excitement anymore, because you're like, am I excited because the other person's happy? Am I excited because I'm getting good feedback? I don't know. And so like maybe this goes into the shadow self a little bit, but trusting like those sides of like of your shadow can give you more of an honest answer sometimes. Um,
Wow. You just brought up something for me that I think my shadow self was like trying to hide that this actually happened. But if I may, I'm gonna share
yeah.
another reflection. So remember when I first started with the list, and then I shared with you that the first like three that I chose, I felt like were I didn't I judged myself for those being the first three that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe they were recognition. Recognition was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the reason why I feel like that was my shadow. I believe me recognizing that, and our shadows are still us, right? So I believe that was very genuine for that word to stick out to me first. I even typed it and everything. That was my first word. And then I felt this judgment and inner critic say, "Well, why would your first value be recognition? Like it's all about you." Like it was just so it was just like an energy that I like erased the word. Like I just took it off my list and I was like, "No, I don't no." And I believe what you just said about the strong no and the strong yes, like that wasn't a no to that word. It was a no to myself. You don't get to say, you don't get to write down that your value is recognition because that would mean, what would that mean? That would mean that in order to live this out, where can you be recognized? Like my shadow was like protecting me from that because also on top of where am I going to receive recognition, I can acknowledge where am I denying recognition, recognizing myself. Where am I giving away my power for other people to externally validate me instead of doing it for instead of recognizing that I have that ability and power to do that for myself and receive recognition. So thank you because I wasn't going to share that. I was hiding a little bit. And I love that you brought up our shadow because that was I when I first engaged with this activity, I got to meet my shadow. I
Mm.
I didn't expect that. I was like, this is supposed to feel like, yay, I like fairness, which I do. I just didn't
Yeah.
expect like a word like recognition to bring up the inner critic like so strongly. Like, wow, I erased the word and everything.
Yeah. And it's you know, like what you had me thinking about too, like when we externalize power, or like we're taught to externalize power, like because recognition doesn't have to be like a bad thing. We're perfectly capable of recognizing ourselves, of applauding ourselves. And I think that we talked about it um that day, like when you're like a little kid and you make your macaroni art, you acknowledge yourself. You're like, look mom, look what I made. It's like, you know, it's popping. I ate, whatever the kids say these days. um and like, and you have that power like within yourself to recognize yourself and give yourself recognition, but it's only as we go throughout life does that become like a shadow feature to be other words are put with it, like you're gloating. You have to wait for somebody else to recognize you. I think like it's perfectly I'm so glad that you're reclaiming that word for yourself. Well, are you reclaiming it for yourself? Is that one of your values?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay. I love that. I love that for you. One of mine's that's like that actually. There's two that like I don't know how to like feel about it all the way. Um so one is like sovereignty. Like I like don't like authority, y'all. So like I want to feel like I have the power within myself. Like I don't need to go to anybody outside of me for anything. And like I'm like, oh, how do I what does that mean? It feels a little bit icky. And the other one is ease. Like I really value ease and I'm like, dang, what does that mean? Am I lazy? Like yeah, so same same thing. And I found myself trying to find what are those words? What is it when you try and make something sound more positive than it is? A euphemism. I was trying to find euphemisms for the words that I felt in my gut like drawn to as my values. But I don't know, like, why am I trying to find euphemisms? Like, it can just be what it is. These are my values. They're mine. They have to ground me. They're not for anybody else. And so I do like want to like let go of making things like look pretty or appetizing or like seeming good. Like how you said, like fairness. Like, oh yay, that sounds like like something that other people like will cheer on. Um, but I think that also goes back to like the people pleasing, like wanting to have values that externally seem like they're good values, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to be like done with that. I remember like even being scared to go back on my YouTube channel because I was like, one of my values is like creativity, and I was like, well, that doesn't make money. Like, how is this important? How is this changing anyone's life? And I'm like, and I have to like really get back to like, no, that's my core value. Whatever, I don't care. Like, but it's really really hard because of like all of the messaging we get all of the time on what things we should value. And like it's almost like there's like a internal like capitalist in me, even though
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not a capitalist, saying like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what part of this is productive? What part of this is bringing value to other people? And so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes to everything you said is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, to everything you said. Wow. Because this is listening to your gut. Like this is following your intuition. And we attached inclusion to recognition so I can feel better about it. Because the recognition it's also inclusion. Like it was coming from a place of I know how much I've achieved and I know that there's a lot of recognition I haven't gotten, and that in turn taught me I don't celebrate myself, because we talked about this when we talked about shadows like months ago. I actually don't really or actually I do now. At that time, look, okay, at that time months ago I was not celebrating myself for the things that I was achieving. I did a doula certification. I did a yoga teacher certification. I did them at the same time, pretty much. And I had just ended a toxic job like almost half a year prior to these certifications, and so I was like pivoting in my career and entrepreneurship journey and creativity YouTube journey, and so that recognition was coming from that value is coming from a place of I know how much I've achieved and I know how many people don't actually know,
Mm.
because I'm not saying it, because I'm not celebrating myself. So I'm not just naturally coming out and saying, I've done these things, look at these things, I'm doing this, and I don't feel safe sharing that because I'm not celebrating myself. And so recognition, it could just be, I would like to recognize myself more. I can tell my shadow that. Guess what? I'm going to recognize you. Can't hide from Mimi. We're whole. We don't hide anymore. We're not
Yeah.
compartmentalizing anymore. We're not having these fragmented identities anymore. I'm going to recognize myself. And that's my value. Maybe just like I need to recognize myself. And then like I'll feel good. Because when we added inclusion, I was like, oh, well, that's why I got more clarity on why that word was brought up for me.
Yeah. Do you mean like inclusion, like belonging, like being
Oh,
like
and
being
that word,
included or
mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And as you're talking about it, it makes me think about like, so in my values list, I put connection, but I did say to myself and I said to nature and community, but and source, but like also like I'm like, why is connection important to me? And I think like maybe something else that you brought up to me is like feeling safe. Safety is really like is really important to me. Um, but that's like also feels like sometimes like out of my own control. And so like I feel like I needed to define it more in order for it to feel accessible to me, if that makes sense. Like I needed to, because I want to be sovereign, I guess. I needed it to feel back into my control because I realized I can't control how other people perceive me, how other people make me feel safe. Yeah, that was a little bit of a babble, but I felt called to say it, so I did. Thank you for
Yeah.
holding space for that.
Thank you for bringing that up. No, I believe this is perfect in our segue to share some of the reflection questions that you kind of brought up earlier, and I wrote them down. But back to how have I, well, let's see. Have I been listening to myself lately? So that's a reflection question for us. Have I been listening to myself lately? How do you know the messages your body is sending to you? How do you decipher them? What is your process of listening to the messages your body is sending you? These are signals. I shared with Marissa that I was a bit anxious about this live, and I felt like I should have been more prepared, or I should have did this or that. And the way that this is going, it's so perfect, it's aligned. I really hope that there's people that are inspired by this. I'm really grateful that you showed up. I'm grateful I showed up, and I'm really grateful for Tay. She shared this earlier. Consistency involves breaks too. So yay, y'all! A year is commendable. So thank you so much for that. Um, it's really beautiful to be able to be recognized. That's my value. And I was listening to my body, as I shared earlier, and I had a safe person. I was in a safe space to be able to figure that out with. So that was a message my body was sending me. Maybe I wouldn't have responded to that recognition word if I felt like I wasn't with the person who would have received that. I feel like that was my spirit saying, and my shadow saying, it's okay to come out. Like, it's okay to pay attention to this. My body was like, this is the time, the space, the person to address the shadow with. So we're not holding back and limiting ourselves anymore. So that was a message I received during our when we did our activity. And then the last question, reflection question: what have I been holding onto? What have I been holding in? And just see what comes up. This breath practice that we're gonna end with can be a part of your aid in discovering that, letting your body bring those things up. Our body's always going to protect us. Our body is always going to overcompensate for any adjustments we're telling it to do. So if I tell my body, we're not gonna focus on certain things, okay? Because we have this and this and this to do, okay? So this is what we're prioritizing. The values that I end up coming up with are gonna reflect what I'm focusing on.
Yes.
So do you want to share? That kind of was just in my spirit to say. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it has me like, um, I'm not sure if we went to this part yet or not, but we talked about like you said that the overarching theme was like values and like how they impact our goals and
Mhm.
like relationships. And I did want to like just like touch on that like once you like well after having like this honest like talk with myself and like honestly like sitting down and figuring out like what my values are, and I think that's why like it was really important to me to have this talk before the year was over and
Mhm.
people start like making new year's plans and things like that, is like when you know what's important to, well, when I let me speak for myself, when I know what's important to me, it makes it so that I can easily like interrogate like the things that I'm doing, like is this in alignment with my values, so that I'm not like wasting my time honestly and feeling lost, because I want to have clarity, um and I think like having these values does give me clarity. And then also the same thing like in relationships, like in friendships, like are these people that I'm being with and spending my time with, is this in alignment with my values? Or even like how we're spending time together, is this in alignment with my values? Like if I value like connection, for example, does it make sense for me and for how that word suits me? Does it make sense for me to go to like a huge like meetup where I'm meeting like hundreds of people at once, or does it make sense for me to have one-on-one conversations with someone because that's where I feel actually connected? And so it just makes all the decisions that I'm making just so much easier. That ease word comes up again. Um, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say, and I feel excited to now set goals instead of anxious. Um, and also, I'm really really glad that this was like a safe space for you to like not only like share your shadow self. I feel like it has been that for me too, but like also I think it was such a gift that um like you share like those like harder parts here in community, um because I think like um that's like one of the reasons why I love YouTube, is because you can have conversations that you don't usually get to have, and
Mhm.
see how different people are moving through life, to then be able to reflect back on your own life and see a mirror of like what does that mean for me, and that's like a really really like unique experience. And yeah, and I'm really really grateful that we could do this and that we could have this talk in a relaxed way,
Mhm.
in a way that felt good to both of us. And I do hope, like you said, that it serves other people when they're watching this. But honestly, this felt like a good kiki with my friends, so I feel like it served its purpose, even if it makes me feel a little bit lighter throughout my day,
Mhm.
and to be able to show up authentically, one of my other values, as I interact with people throughout the day. I think that counts.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I just thought about something.
What?
Instead of saying like hi, who like how like what do you do? Like you know how if you say, "Oh, who are you?" Like what do you do? Like, "Oh, you want to ask me my job?" What about we say, "What are your values?" I got so excited.
Oh, woo.
I want to see if I want to be your friend. What are your values?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm bold enough to ask that yet. That would be a second date question. Um,
Buy me dinner first. Ooh.
yeah, but no, but that is so real. Like after I transitioned from like working in corporate, like I didn't have like a fancy corporate job to like when people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" To answer them back with. So I started like asking people like what their hobbies were,
Ooh.
um, like what their interests were. And the interesting about that, like people would reveal their values in that when you ask them what they do with their free time. um and I found that like instead of yeah, I did find people that were like more aligned. I found people that value creativity. I found, some people were like, "Oh, I run. Oh, you value health." um and that
Mhm.
makes me also think like how we spend our time is a good window into what our values are.
Mhm.
um could be like a good thing, like if you're having trouble figuring out what your values are, like how do you spend your time? And even if it's like
Mhm.
currently I spend my time at work, and after work I'm so exhausted, like I rest. Like so even if that's not an ideal situation, like what that would tell me, because that was like my life at one point, what that would tell me is that like I value like financial security. Um Because like sometimes that's what you know, it's real. But then as I like ask myself why, like why do I go to work? Why do I value financial security? Like, and I keep asking why to get to the deeper part. It's like it's for my family. Oh, I value family, you know?
Mm.
Um, and that's why even though like I spend a lot of my day going to work, the deeper why tells me that, and I think once you get to that deeper why of what your values are, maybe then that can give you clarity about how to like make your life actually align with your values in a way that is giving to you and feels expansive instead of taking away from you and feels diminishing, if that makes sense. um
It makes more than sense. You're teaching a master class right now. I feel
uh,
like I'm in your like tunnel of wisdom right now, like your vortex. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm just like in the multiverse with like your wisdom right now. I'm just like, ooh, all of the ways that value can like guide me to get to the life that I want. Like, oh, living into my values doesn't seem so scary anymore when you describe it like that.
oh, I'm so glad to you just graced us with a lot of wisdom, so I'm glad that I can give like a little droplet back. But this has been a really yeah, I don't know if we're wrapping it up yet. It's totally cool if we keep it like open. But I just wanted to just pre say that I definitely will like watch this live back, because I know that as I'm getting older, I realize like life is very cyclical. I'll go through moments of extreme clarity, and then I'll walk in that for a while, and then I'll be extremely lost again. Um and so I know that there's gonna be a season where I need this again. And so I'm grateful that we've documented this, to be able to watch back and have different like question points of like how to refigure out my values in different phases of life.
Mm. That actually leads me, and we didn't pre-plan this question, and I'm gonna take this banner off,
Okay,
but
cool.
this is leading me to a question came to my mind. How, because I believe we have a similar value of trust, and I'm gonna rewatch this as well. And anyone who's watching the replay, I wonder if this concept of being able to document how one value, how you have lived in it, like being able to document so you can look back on it. Um, so trust. I'm thinking like we've been for most of this year connecting with each other. You've been my witness. I've been your witness. I've been able to build trust with you. I've been able to trust my creative process. I've been able to trust I can share my creative process. I've been able to trust that I can have community to be able to check in on and ask for support or gain insight from. I've been able to trust that even on my hard days, even on the days where I am inconsistent, even on the days where maybe I don't follow up with something that I wanted to really truly follow up with, I can still be accepted. I've learned to trust that. I've learned to trust so many things, so many things. And it's really difficult to reflect on the wholeness of what I've been building upon when sometimes the hard things, like when there's things that I haven't been able to, that have broken my trust in the same period of time that I've been building trust. So when I reflect on the year, it would be really tempting to just focus on those big, big challenges that broke my trust and say, yeah, my trust has been broken this year. And also, how can I remind myself in what areas can I give myself little gifts and breadcrumbs, I guess, of reminders that no, really, you have been. Remember, you have been building trust. So that reassurance. So I'm really grateful you brought up that we can look back on this live. We've shown a lot of our values in this conversation alone. Um, but yeah, I was rambling just now, but that was so beautiful.
No, you weren't rambling. Girl, you know I'm a circular thinker. So it all connects. But like what it made me think about a lot too is like looking, like how when you like look back and like you focus on something, like how there's duality to things, um like there are going to be things that like that do maybe break your trust, and that shows you that this is important to me, that because that hurt. And then like then when you do show up and their experiences with trust, like how you feel so held, and so like experiencing both sides of that shows you that this truly is like something that you need to stay in balance and to feel good. But also like what it had me thinking about too, like after we're done like picking our values, I did this like last year and the year before that. I'll choose like I don't really set goals for the year. I'll set a word of the year. So like an intention, and it had me thinking like um so I think last year or the year before that, I may have kept the same one for 2 years. It was my word was integrity, but it wasn't like being honest. It was like having integrity with myself. If I don't want to do it, like not just showing up just cause, actually saying no and like being true to myself. Um, if I want to decide I want to be a crazy artist, like going full force with that and believing in myself, and that was having integrity, like spending my money in ways that align with me was having integrity. But it makes me so coming back to the point, you saying that word of trust makes me want to think about like, okay, now I know what my values are. What word do I want to choose for my intention for next year? And then like also like how can I reflect on that word throughout the year and document like my process with that word. I think is a good step after choosing the values for me. If that aligns, like do it, but is what I that is what I want to do next, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds like workshop stuff.
Oh, choosing
Because
a word of the year.
yeah, and then setting up something with other creatives that we can all set up together our process of how we're going to document that. And then it
Yeah.
could be like accountability group. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
because like Teatime.beauty, my YouTube channel, is my creative playground. And my first live with another with as a collaboration for this channel was Marissa Price Heels, and that was at last January. And ever since then, I've been collaborating with you. We did our accountability partner. We posted so many YouTube videos in this past year alone, and we specifically were like, we want to post more. Or at least we want to post in a way that feels authentic, genuine, and also we're not leaving our YouTube channel on the shelf for too long because this is our passion. So I really love that concept of being able to, at the beginning of or at the end of one year, being able to set up a process. And even if it changes, even if it's difficult to stay committed to, like it's all part of the journey of knowing that I'm committing to myself. And this is one way that I'm going to commit to myself, whatever it ends up looking like. And in community, we'll all remember like there's some people who have shared their dream and it's still in my heart. In the garden, some people were talking about wanting to have a homestead, and lots of us are going to live on it, and everyone does their part. Like everyone's dreams, I feel if it resonates with me, I hold it in my heart. And so on top of us building a process for ourselves to document, get some witnesses. I'm like always going to be an advocate for get yourself an accountability partner. Okay, get somebody you can trust. Okay, get someone who will cheerlead you on, validate you when it's hard to validate yourself, and remind you of your power and your strength in a non-codependent way. Because this sounds really nice. It's just like really healthy though.
Absolutely. And hmm, like what it makes me think about to yes, get your like having like witnesses and accountability partner and everything, but like I don't know, like looking back, it's funny that this live we started off with saying like everybody that we clicked with is like really intentional people. And it makes me think about
Mm-hmm.
when we started being accountability partners, we talked about like, okay, what are our intentions with this? Um and like I don't know, I'm just realizing like that's so important, having definite purpose, setting intentions, and starting with that base, so that you can like have fertile ground to grow from. Yeah, it's just always feeling like it's feeling full circle. Yeah, if anybody is like watching the replay or watching this, I do want to like say like if because you were saying like it sounds like a workshop or like a group or something like that. Even if this live could just be like the group accountability, if you want to like drop what your values are or drop what your intentions are, I think that that could be a way like an ease to get the conversation rolling of what does yeah of like what it can be to lean on each other, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Mhm. That's exactly why I created this community. It's for me,
Yes.
for other people too. So please share with us. Thank you so much for that. Okay, and check the description box because Marissa has lots of offerings, and I want you to be able to be tapped in with what she has to share. Okay, so is this feeling good for us to have our closing breath and wrap up?
Yeah, it does feel good. I feel like we like everything came full circle and it's perfect like um time to yeah to close it up. How are you feeling?
I really am grateful for our connection because I couldn't have planned this conversation to go as beautifully as it did. I feel like we just are just like playing softball with each. I don't know. I just feel like we just like throw catch with each other. No, this is a game of catch. Like I just like throw my ideas out there, throw whatever's coming in my spirit, and then you're like, yeah, and then you like throw it back, and I'm like, this is so cool. We're both good at playing catch.
No, it does. It feels like a flow and it feels easy and authentic. I feel connected. Like literally like all of my values like um have been addressed, and I feel very grounded after this conversation, which was the intention that I
Yeah.
set with making my values. So it feels yeah, very, very good. I hope everybody that's watching had has time or at least feels encouraged to start thinking about and interrogating for themselves what their intuition, what their values are.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and get comfy again. We're going to close out with another pranayama practice. We're going to do the same one that we did earlier. So, this is called the Ujjayi breath. So, whatever is a comfortable position for you. Again, I am sitting, and I'm feeling grateful that I'm comfortable and that I feel so filled up. So, whatever you want to do with your hands, remember you can put them over your heart. You can set them on your lap. You can put one on your heart, one on your abdomen, whatever's comfortable. If you'd like to close your eyes, do so now. You can lower your gaze or look at the tip of your nose, whatever is safe for you right now. We're going to breathe in through our nose, and when we exhale with the closed mouth, we're going to push the air out of our throat. Okay? So when you're ready, inhale, exhale. We're going to do that 3 more times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Last one. Inhale and exhale. So take 1 second to just feel how this feels in your body. Thank yourself for caring and tending to your wellness today. And flutter your eyes open when you're ready. Enter back into this space. Give yourself a hug if you want. It's really good to just give yourself some sensory closeness after you do breath practices just to safely enter back into the space in your body. I hope that you feel like this benefited you this time together. How do you feel, Marissa?
Um, I feel really every time I do breath work, I kind of like get lost a little bit afterwards. But yeah, I feel really really good, and I feel excited to yeah, to like move in my values. Yeah, feeling good, feeling good. How about you?
Yay! I feel so grateful for all of the people who have taught me and influenced me for me to be able to share everything that I have today. Um, I want to just celebrate that a lot of people have poured into me so I can be able to pour into you all today. And I've poured into myself. So we all can benefit from this. So that's how I feel. I'm just filled up with gratitude.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you all. Remember to check out Marissa's channel, Enough by MNT. Check us out. We will be doing different things on our channels. So please subscribe. And until the next one, enjoy your Tuesday, enjoy the rest of your month. And remember to share this video with those you love and rewatch this, okay? We're here for you. Values, we're living in them. Okay. Okay, until next time. Wado.
Bye for now.